The morning sun rose over New Haven Colony like it had for the past 15 years. Jake Morrison stood on his front porch, drinking coffee and watching the farmers head to their fields. The air smelled of fresh earth and growing crops. Children ran past his house, laughing as they chased each other to school. Jake had been the colony's security chief for 10 years now. Before that, he served in the Earth Defense Force for 12 years. He came to New Haven, hoping for a quiet life after. Seeing too much war. Most days, his biggest problem was settling disputes between neighbors or finding lost pets. The colony stretched across a wide valley between two mountain ranges. 12,000 people called this place home. They had built a small city with shops, schools, and a hospital. Around the city, farms covered the land like a green blanket. The colonists grew food that fed everyone and had extra to trade with passing ships. Dr. Lisa Martinez walked into the colony's medical center just as she did every morning. She had been on New Haven for 8 years, taking care of sick people and studying the plants that grew on this world. The planet had amazing life forms that could heal wounds and cure diseases. Lisa spent her free time learning about them. At the colony's small military base, Commander Alex Turner checked the daily reports. His defense force had only 200 people. Most were farmers who trained on weekends. They had 3 patrol ships that were old but still worked. The ships mostly checked for problems in space around the planet. New Haven sat far from the main space routes. Ships rarely came this way. The colonists liked it that way. They had left Earth to escape the noise and crowds of the big cities. Here, everyone knew their neighbors. People helped each other when times were hard. Mayor Claire Johnson sat in her office reading requests from colonists who wanted to build new houses or start new businesses. The colony was growing slowly but steadily. More people came every year, looking for the same peace that the first settlers had found. Sam Rodriguez worked in the communications center, keeping the colony connected to the outside world. Messages took weeks to reach Earth from this distant place. Most of the time, Sam just made sure the local networks worked and people could call each other. The colonists had no idea that danger was coming toward them through space. Far away, alien ships moved between the stars. The Zephyrian Empire had been watching and waiting. They had big plans for small human colonies like New Haven. In the afternoon, Jake walked through the colony's main street. He stopped to talk with shopkeepers and workers. Everyone seemed happy and busy. The harvest season was coming, and people were excited about the big festival they held every year. Jake had fought aliens before, during his time in the Earth Defense Force. The Zephyrians were known for being cruel and strong. They had taken over many worlds using powerful weapons and large fleets. But that was far away from New Haven. The colonists believed they were safe in their quiet corner of space. Dr. Martinez spent her afternoon in the lab, looking at samples of local plants under her microscope. She had discovered something interesting about the way these plants defended themselves from insects and diseases. The plants made special chemicals that could break down metal and plastic. She wrote notes about her findings, thinking they might be useful someday. Commander Turner finished his daily patrol report. His ships had found nothing unusual in the space around New Haven. The asteroid belt was quiet. The 3 moons showed no signs of problems. Everything seemed normal and peaceful. As evening came, families gathered for dinner. Children played in the streets while their parents talked about their day. The colony felt safe and happy. People made plans for tomorrow, next week, and next year. They had no fear of what might come from the stars. Jake walked home as the sun set behind the mountains. The sky turned orange and purple, and the first stars appeared. He thought about how different his life was now compared to his military days. No battles, no death, no fear. Just peace and quiet. But far away in space, alien eyes were watching New Haven. The Zephyrians had been studying human colonies for months. They thought humans were weak and easy to defeat. New Haven looked perfect for their plans. A small colony with few defenses would be an easy target. The alien commanders made their choice. New Haven would be their next conquest. They would test their new attack methods on these peaceful farmers. The humans would never know what hit them. Lisa Martinez locked up her lab and walked home through the colony streets. The lights in the houses made everything look warm and friendly. She had no idea that her research into local plants would soon become the key to saving everyone she cared about. Sam Rodriguez finished his work and turned off the communications equipment. The colony was quiet for the night. His sensors showed nothing unusual in space. He had no way to know that alien ships were already moving toward New Haven Dot as the colonists slept. The Zephyrian fleet jumped through space, getting closer with each passing hour. War Commander Thexul studied the reports about New Haven. The humans had weak defenses and old ships. This would be easy. The peaceful colony had one more quiet night. Tomorrow would bring news that would change everything. The farmers, teachers, doctors, and workers of New Haven were about to face the fight of their lives. They would discover that sometimes ordinary people must do extraordinary things to protect what they love. Sam Rodriguez was drinking his morning coffee when the long-range sensors started beeping. He almost ignored it. The sensors often picked up space junk or small asteroids. But this signal was different. It was big and moving fast toward New Haven. Sam ran to his equipment and checked the readings again. 12 large objects were coming through space directly at their colony. They would arrive in 2 days. His hands shook as he realized what this meant. These were not asteroids or trading ships. He called Jake Morrison right away. Jake was eating breakfast with his family when his phone rang. Sam's voice was scared and urgent. "Jake, you need to get to the communications center now. We have a serious problem." Jake ran through the colony streets, his heart pounding. Other people were starting their normal day, not knowing that danger was racing toward them. When he reached Sam's workplace, he saw the fear in his friend's eyes. The computer screen showed 12 red dots moving toward New Haven. Sam had run the numbers 3 times. The objects were too big to be normal ships. They were moving too fast to be cargo haulers. These had to be warships. Jake stared at the screen and felt his old military training kick in. He had seen readings like this before during his time in the Earth Defense Force. This was an attack fleet. The Zephyrians were coming to New Haven. "How long do we have?" Jake asked. 48 hours, Sam replied. Maybe less. Jake called an emergency meeting with all the colony leaders. Within an hour, Mayor Johnson, Commander Turner, Dr. Martinez, and the other important people sat around a table in the town hall. Jake showed them the sensor readings. The room went quiet. These people had never faced anything like this before. They were farmers, doctors, teachers, and shopkeepers. They had come to New Haven to live in peace, not to fight a war. Commander Turner spoke first. "We have 3 patrol ships and 200 militia members. The Zephyrians are bringing 12 warships. We cannot win a normal fight." Mayor Johnson looked around the table. "Should we surrender? Try to negotiate?" "The Zephyrians don't negotiate," Jake said. "They conquer. I fought them before. They will either kill us or make us slaves. We have to fight." Dr. Martinez had been quiet, but now she spoke up. "We can't outgun them, but maybe we can outthink them. I've been studying the plants on this world. They have amazing defensive systems. What if we could use that somehow?" The others looked at her with confusion. How could plants help them fight spaceships? Lisa explained her research. The local plants made special chemicals to protect themselves. These chemicals could eat through metal and plastic. They could also spread through the air like a cloud. If we could make these chemicals in large amounts, we might be able to damage their ships. Jake felt hope for the first time since seeing the sensor readings. How long would it take to make enough? If everyone helps, we could have it ready in 2 days, Lisa said. But we'd need to modify the industrial machines in the factories. Commander Turner was already thinking about tactics. Even if we hurt their ships, they'll still land troops. We need to prepare for ground fighting, too. Jake nodded. Every building becomes a fortress. Every street becomes a trap. We use everything we have. The next 24 hours changed New Haven completely. The peaceful colony became a busy war. Camp, workers in the factories stopped making farm equipment and started making weapons. The chemical plants began producing Lisa's special plant chemicals in huge amounts. Not every person in the colony had a job to do. Children and elderly people moved to the underground shelters. Adults who could fight joined the militia. Those who couldn't fight helped in other ways, making food, carrying supplies, or taking care of the wounded. Jake organized the defense. He turned the colony's buildings into fighting positions. Windows became gun ports. Rooftops became sniper nests. The colonists dug tunnels between buildings so they could move without being seen. The industrial machines were changed into weapons. Plasma cutters that normally cut metal became guns. Construction robots became tanks. Mining explosives became bombs. The colonists used their knowledge of farming and building to create new ways to fight. Sam Rodriguez worked day and night to prepare electronic traps. He set up false signals to confuse the enemy. He also tried to find ways to break into alien computer systems. Every advantage might save lives. Dr. Martinez led teams of volunteers in making the plant chemicals. They filled containers with the liquid and set up systems to spray it into the air. The chemical would spread like fog and attack enemy equipment. As the second day began, the Zephyrian fleet was close enough to see with telescopes. Commander Turner's pilots prepared their 3 small ships for a fight they probably couldn't win. But they would try anyway. The colonists said goodbye to their families and took their positions. Farmers held rifles. Teachers operated machine guns. Doctors prepared to treat wounded soldiers. Everyone was scared, but no one ran away. Jake stood on the colony's highest building, looking up at the stars. Somewhere up there, alien warriors were getting ready to attack his home. They thought New Haven would be easy to conquer. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The HFY War commander Thexul studied the reports about New Haven one last time. The humans had weak weapons and few soldiers. This would be a quick victory. He would test his new battle plans on these primitive farmers. But Thexul didn't know about the plant chemicals or the traps waiting for him. He didn't know that these primitive farmers had fighting spirit that wouldn't break. He was about to make the biggest mistake of his military career. The alien ships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Their sensors scanned New Haven colony. Everything looked normal. The humans seemed to be going about their daily business. Thexul smiled. This would be over quickly. He ordered his fleet to move to attack position. In a few hours, New Haven would belong to the Zephyrian Empire. On the planet below, Jake Morrison checked his watch. The enemy was here. Soon, the battle would begin. He spoke into his radio to all the defenders. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for everyone we love. Make every shot count. The colonists of New Haven were ready. They had turned their peaceful home into a fortress. They had weapons the aliens didn't expect. Most importantly, they had something the Zephyrians couldn't understand, the will to fight for their freedom. The stage was set. In a few hours, The galaxy would see what happened when someone attacked a human colony. The Jeffrians thought they were hunting easy prey. They were about to become the hunted. War Commander Vexul stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the small human colony. New Haven looked peaceful from space. Green fields surrounded a small city. He saw no massive defense systems or military bases. This would be easier than he thought. Send the surrender message. Vexil ordered his communications officer. Give them 1 hour to give up or we destroy everything. The message reached New Haven's communication center. Sam Rodriguez read it aloud to the colony leaders. The aliens demanded complete surrender. Any resistance would result in total destruction. Mayor Johnson looked at the faces around her. These people had worked so hard to build their new home. They had families and dreams, but they also had courage. Send our answer, she told Sam. Tell them to come and take it. Sam transmitted the short message to the alien fleet. On the Zephyrian flagship, Vexul received the human reply. He laughed. These primitive farmers thought they could fight his advanced warships. Begin the attack, he commanded. Target their power systems and communication arrays. We want them alive to work in our mines. The first energy beams lanced down from space. Bright blue light struck the colony's power station. The building exploded in a ball of fire. Electricity went out across half the colony, but the colonists were ready. Backup generators hummed to life. Emergency lights came on. The defense systems that Jake had set up were already running on separate power sources. Commander Turner was in the cockpit of his patrol ship, flying toward the alien fleet with his 2 wingmen. The 3 small ships looked tiny compared to the massive Zephyrian warships. Remember the plan, Turner said over the radio. We're not trying to win. We're trying to buy time and cause confusion. The human ships dove toward the alien fleet at full speed. The Zephyrians fired their energy weapons, but the human pilots were ready. They used the planet's magnetic field to bend the energy beams away from their ships. Turner's ship flew between 2 alien cruisers, firing missiles at their sensor arrays. The missiles exploded in bright flashes that blinded the alien targeting systems. The other human ships attacked different targets, moving too fast for the aliens to track. On the ground, Jake Morrison watched the sky battle from his command post. Explosions lit up the darkness as the ships fought above the clouds. He knew Turner and his pilots were buying precious time. The alien dropships began landing around the colony. Each ship carried 50 Zephyrian soldiers armed with energy rifles and plasma grenades. They expected to face scared farmers with primitive weapons. The first dropship landed in what looked like an empty field. The alien soldiers ran out, ready to attack, but Jake had prepared a surprise. The empty field was full of buried mines. The explosions threw the alien soldiers into the air. Dr. Martinez watched from the medical center as her plan went into action. All around the colony, hidden machines began spraying the special plant chemicals into the air. The liquid turned into a fine mist that spread quickly on the wind. The chemicals were invisible to the naked eye, but they were deadly to alien technology. The Zephyrian soldiers didn't notice at first. Their equipment seemed to work normally, but slowly their weapons began to malfunction. A Zephyrian squad leader tried to fire his energy rifle. Nothing happened. He looked at the weapon and saw that metal parts were dissolving. The chemical mist was eating through his equipment. More. Alien soldiers found their weapons failing. Their communication devices stopped working. Even their armor began to weaken as the chemicals attacked the metal joints. Jake's voice came over the radio to all defenders. Phase 2 now. The colonists opened fire from hidden positions. Windows in buildings became gun ports. Rooftops revealed machine gun nests. The peaceful colony turned into a deadly maze of crossfire. The aliens had trained to fight other spacefaring armies. They expected energy shields and advanced weapons. Instead, they faced simple bullets and explosives that their training hadn't prepared them for. A group of Zephyrian soldiers tried to take cover behind a building. But Jake had prepared for this too. The building was rigged with explosives. When the aliens got close, the whole structure collapsed on top of them. Sam Rodriguez was in his communications center, working on his own part of the battle. He had been studying the alien radio signals. Now he began sending false messages to confuse their commanders. Squad 7, retreat to landing zone 2. Sam broadcast on the alien frequency. Squad 12, advance to the school building. The false orders sent alien units running in wrong directions. In space, the chemical mist was reaching the alien ships. The Zephyrians had brought their fleet close to the planet for ground support. Now they were close enough for the chemicals to attack their hulls. Commander Vexul watched his tactical display in growing alarm. 3 of his ships were reporting system failures. The metal on their outer hulls was corroding at an impossible rate. What is causing this? He demanded. His science officer checked the readings. Unknown biological agent, Commander. It appears to be eating through our hull plating. On the ground, the battle was getting worse for the aliens. They had lost nearly half their soldiers in the first 5 minutes. The humans fought like they knew every stone and tree in the colony. Jake Morrison led a squad of militia members in a counterattack. They moved through tunnels under the colony, appearing behind alien positions. The Zephyrians found themselves surrounded and confused. A construction robot, modified with armor plating and weapons, rolled into the main square. The aliens fired their energy weapons at it, but the robot kept coming. It crashed into an alien squad, scattering them like leaves. Dr. Martinez monitored the chemical attack from her lab. The plant-based weapons were working better than she had hoped. Reports came in from all over the colony. Alien equipment was failing everywhere. Commander, Turner's ship had been hit by alien fire, but he was still flying. He dove his damaged patrol ship toward the alien command vessel. The Zephyrians tried to stop him, but their targeting systems were failing. Turner's ship crashed into the alien flagship's main sensor array. The explosion destroyed the ship's ability to coordinate the ground attack. Alien units lost contact with their commanders. Jake looked at his watch. 6 minutes had passed since the attack began. The aliens were supposed to have won by now. Instead, they were losing soldiers and ships. The remaining alien soldiers tried to retreat to their landing ships, but many of the ships wouldn't start. The chemical mist had damaged their engines. The Zephyrians were trapped on the ground with failing equipment. War Commander Vexul realized his perfect plan had become a disaster. His ships were being eaten alive by some unknown weapon. His soldiers were being defeated by farmers with simple guns. All units, prepare for immediate retreat, he ordered. We are leaving this system. But it was too late. The chemical attack had damaged too many of his ships. The flagship's hull was failing. Alarms rang throughout the vessel as systems shut. Down one by one. Jake Morrison stood on the colony's highest building, watching the alien ships in the sky. Some were already pulling back. Others were falling toward the planet, their hulls eaten through by the chemical mist. 7 minutes after the attack began, the impossible happened. The mighty Zephyrian fleet, conquerors of 17 star systems, turned and ran from a small human colony. The colonists of New Haven had done something that military experts said was impossible. They had defeated a superior alien force using creativity, courage, and the willingness to fight for their home. But as Jake watched the retreating alien ships, he knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy would hear about what happened here. Some would respect humanity's strength. Others would see humans as a threat to be eliminated. The 7-minute war was over. The real battle for humanity's future was just beginning. The chemical mist continued to spread through the air above New Haven Colony. War Commander Thexul watched in horror as his mighty fleet fell apart around him. Ships that had conquered entire star systems were now dissolving like sugar in water. Breach on decks 7 through 12, reported his damage control officer. We're losing atmosphere fast. Thexul had never seen anything like this biological attack. The humans had turned their own planet into a weapon. His advanced shields were useless against these tiny chemicals that ate through metal. On the ground, Jake Morrison coordinated the human counterattack. The alien soldiers were in chaos. Their weapons had stopped working. Their armor was falling apart. Many were trying to surrender, but they couldn't communicate because their translation devices had failed. Push them back to the landing zones. Jake ordered over the radio, "Don't let any of them escape to warn their empire about our defenses." The colonists moved through their town like they owned every building and street. Because they did. This was their home, and they knew every hiding place and shortcut. Dr. Martinez watched the battle from her medical center while treating wounded defenders. Her chemical weapon was working beyond her wildest dreams. The plant-based compounds were not just damaging alien equipment, they were spreading and getting stronger. "The chemicals are learning," she told her assistant. "They're adapting to attack the alien technology more effectively." Sam Rodriguez had cracked the alien communication system completely. He was now sending false orders directly to the Zephyrian. "Commanders, retreat to positions Alpha and Gamma," he broadcast. "Regroup at the southern landing zone." The false orders sent alien units running in different directions. Some groups ran toward human ambushes. Others abandoned their equipment and fled into the forest where colonist hunting parties were waiting. In space, Commander Turner's damaged patrol ship was still flying. He had ejected from his crash course with the alien flagship at the last second. Now he was piloting his crippled ship toward another target. "This is Turner to all ships," he radioed. "Follow my lead. We're going to finish this." The other 2 human patrol ships joined him. Together, they flew toward the alien fleets. Fuel tanker. The massive ship was already damaged by the chemical attack, but it was still dangerous. Turner's ship fired its last missiles at the tanker's fuel tanks. The explosion lit up the sky like a second sun. The blast wave damaged several other alien ships and sent debris raining down on the planet. War Commander Thexul felt his flagship shudder as another hull section collapsed. His ship was dying around him. The bridge crew was working frantically to keep life support running. "Sir, we need to evacuate to another ship," his second-in-command urged. Thexul looked at his tactical display. Half his fleet was gone. The others were badly damaged. His perfect invasion had become a complete disaster. "Signal the retreat," he ordered. "All ships that can still fly, prepare for immediate jump to hyperspace." But the retreat was proving as difficult as the attack. The chemical mist had damaged the navigation systems on several ships. They couldn't calculate safe jump coordinates. On the ground, the human defenders were winning everywhere. The alien soldiers had been trained to fight with energy weapons and advanced tactics. Without their technology, they were helpless against the colonists' simple but effective weapons. Jake Morrison's militia units surrounded the main alien landing site. The Zephyrian soldiers were trapped between the human attackers and their own failing dropships. "Surrender now, and we'll treat you well," Jake announced through a loudspeaker. "Keep fighting, and you'll join your friends in the medical center." Most of the aliens threw down their useless weapons. They had never faced an enemy like this before. These humans fought with a desperation and creativity that their military training hadn't prepared them for. Dr. Martinez received reports from all over the colony. The chemical attack had been more successful than she had dared hope. Not only had it destroyed alien equipment, but it had also created a protective barrier around the colony. "The chemicals are forming a cloud layer," she explained to Mayor Johnson. "Any ship that tries to enter our atmosphere will be damaged." Sam Rodriguez intercepted a message from the alien fleet. They were calling for reinforcements from the Zephyrian Empire, but the message was weak and broken. The chemical attack had damaged their long-range communication systems. "They're trying to call for help," Sam reported. "But I don't think the message is getting through clearly." Jake smiled grimly. Even if the aliens did call for help, it would take weeks for reinforcements to arrive. By then, New Haven would be ready for them. The colonists began collecting alien technology and weapons. The equipment was damaged, but not completely destroyed. Dr. Martinez's team started studying the alien materials to learn how to defend against future attacks. In space, the remaining alien ships were finally ready to retreat. War Commander Thexul transferred to a damaged cruiser just before his flagship broke apart and fell toward the planet. "Set course for the nearest Imperial base," he ordered. "Maximum speed." The surviving ships jumped hyperspace, leaving behind 8 destroyed vessels and hundreds of dead soldiers. The mighty Zephyrian fleet had been defeated by a small human colony that most people had never heard of. As the alien ships disappeared, the colonists of New Haven began to realize what they had accomplished. They had fought one of the galaxy's most feared military forces, and one. Jake Morrison stood in the colony's main square, looking at the damage around him. Several buildings were destroyed. The power station needed rebuilding. But the colony was still here, and the people were still free. "We did it," Commander Turner said, limping over to join Jake. His ship had crash-landed in the forest, but he had survived. "We actually did it." Dr. Martinez approached them, her medical coat stained with blood from treating the wounded. "The chemical barrier is holding," she reported. "Any ship that tries to attack us will face the same problems the Zephyrians did." Mayor Johnson called an emergency meeting in the damaged town hall. The colony leaders gathered to discuss what would happen next. "The Zephyrians will be back," Jake warned. "They won't make the same mistakes twice. And they'll bring more ships. Then we'll be ready for them," Dr. Martinez said. "We've proven that human creativity can defeat alien technology. We just need to keep improving our defenses." Sam Rodriguez had been monitoring space communications. "I'm picking up signals from other human colonies," he reported. "Word is spreading about what happened here. The victory at New Haven was already becoming legend." Other human settlements were asking for information about the plant-based weapons. The Earth Defense Force was sending ships to investigate, but Jake knew that their real victory was something the aliens couldn't understand. The colonists had fought not just for their lives, but for their freedom. They had refused to surrender, even when facing impossible odds. "We're not the same people we were this morning," Jake told the assembled leaders. "We're not just farmers and teachers anymore. We're the defenders of New Haven." The colonists had discovered something important about themselves. When pushed to the limit, ordinary humans could do extraordinary things. They had turned their peaceful colony into a fortress that even the mighty Zephyrian Empire couldn't conquer out as night fell over New Haven. The colonists began rebuilding their damaged homes. But they also began building something new, a reputation that would spread across the galaxy. The humans of New Haven had sent a message to every alien empire. Attacking human colonies was dangerous. Earth's children would fight back with weapons and tactics that no enemy expected. The 7-minute war was over, but its effects would last for generations. The galaxy had learned that humanity was not easy prey. They were predators in disguise, waiting for someone to make the mistake of attacking their homes. 3 weeks after the battle, New Haven Colony was a different place. The peaceful farming community had become a fortress world. Construction crews worked day and night to rebuild the damaged buildings, but this time they included defense systems. In every structure, Jake Morrison stood in the new command center, watching reports come in from across human space. The news of their victory had spread to every human colony and Earth itself. People were calling it the 7-minute war, the shortest successful defense against a major alien invasion. Another message from the Earth Defense Force, Sam Rodriguez, reported they want to send a full investigation team. Jake nodded. The military wanted to understand how a small colony had defeated a Zephyrian fleet. More importantly, they wanted to learn how to use Dr. Martinez's biological weapons on other worlds. Dr. Martinez was busier than ever. Her medical center had become a research laboratory where teams of scientists studied the plant-based chemicals. The simple compounds that protected local plants had become humanity's newest weapon. "We're getting requests from 50 different colonies," she told Jake. "Everyone wants to know how to make the chemical defense system." But Lisa was worried. Making the chemicals required specific plants that only grew on certain worlds. Not every human colony could defend itself the same way New Haven had. "Commander." Turner walked with a slight limp from his crash landing, but he was already planning improvements to the colony's space defenses. "We need better ships," he said. "The patrol craft did their job, but we were lucky." The colony's success had attracted attention from more than just humans. Alien traders who had heard about the battle were curious about these dangerous humans. Some came to trade. Others came to spy. Mayor Johnson found herself dealing with requests from news reporters, military officers, and diplomats. Everyone wanted to visit the colony that had defeated the Zephyrian Empire. "We're not just a farming community anymore," she told the colony council. "We're a symbol of human resistance." The political changes were happening across human space. Before the battle, many colonies had felt helpless against alien threats. Now they were demanding better defenses and military support. On Earth, beyond, the government was debating new policies about colonial defense. Some politicians wanted to send military forces to every human settlement. Others argued that the colonists should defend themselves. But the most important changes were happening in alien space. The Zephyrian Empire was in crisis. War Commander Thexul had survived the retreat, but his career was over. The loss of 8 warships to a small human colony was a disaster that shook the Empire. How did primitive humans defeat our finest fleet? The Zephyrian High Command demanded to know. Thexul tried to explain about the biological weapons and the unexpected tactics. But his superiors found it hard to believe that farmers with simple guns could destroy advanced warships. The defeat at New Haven caused problems throughout the Zephyrian Empire. Other species that the aliens had conquered began to wonder if they too could fight back. Rebellions started on several worlds. Meanwhile, other alien empires were studying the battle. Reports. Some saw the human victory as a warning. Others saw it as evidence that humanity was becoming too dangerous to ignore. The Krex Federation, longtime enemies of the Zephyrians, sent secret messages to human colonies. They wanted to form an alliance against their common enemy, the Stellar Council, a group of peaceful alien species, invited humanity to join their organization. They had been impressed by how New Haven had defended itself without attacking innocent civilians. But not all aliens were friendly. The Void Hunters, a mysterious species that destroyed entire worlds, began moving their fleets toward human space. They saw humanity as a threat that needed to be eliminated. Jake Morrison read the intelligence reports with growing concern. The victory at New Haven had made humanity famous throughout the galaxy. But fame could be dangerous. "We've painted a target on every human colony," he told Dr. Martinez. "Some aliens will want to test themselves against us. Others will want to destroy us before we get stronger. Lisa looked up from her research. Then we need to make sure every human settlement can defend itself. The biological weapons are just the beginning. Over the following months, New Haven became a training center for colonial defense. Military officers from across human space came to learn about the battle tactics that had defeated the Zephyrians. The colonists taught classes on improvised weapons, underground warfare, and biological defense systems. Simple farmers became instructors. For professional soldiers, Sam Rodriguez developed new communication techniques that allowed colonies to coordinate their defenses. His methods for disrupting alien communications were studied by intelligence services throughout human space. The most important lesson from New Haven was something that couldn't be taught in a classroom. The colonists had won because they refused to give up. They had fought for their homes and families with everything they had. Jake Morrison was promoted to colonel in the Earth Defense Force, but he chose to stay on New Haven. "This is where I belong," he told his former commanders. "This is where the real war will be fought." The real war came sooner than expected. 6 months after the 7-Minute War, alien fleets began attacking human colonies throughout the galaxy. But they found a very different enemy than they expected. The humans had learned from New Haven's example. Every colony now had hidden defenses, biological weapons, and trained militia forces. The aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that used every advantage and never surrendered. Battle after battle, human colonies held against alien attacks. The techniques developed at New Haven spread throughout human space. Farmers became soldiers. Scientists became weapons designers. Children learned to fight alongside their parents. The galaxy began to realize that humanity was not just another species to be conquered. They were survivors who turned every challenge into an opportunity to become stronger. 2 years after the 7-Minute War, Jake Morrison stood in the same spot where he had watched the alien fleet arrive. But now the sky was filled with human ships. The Earth Defense Force had built a major base on New Haven. The quiet farming colony had become the center of human military development. The people who had once grown food now grew weapons and warriors. Dr. Martinez had become the galaxy's leading expert on biological warfare. Her research had saved dozens of human colonies from alien attacks. Sam Rodriguez led a team of communication specialists who kept human colonies connected across vast distances. His work had prevented many attacks by giving early warning of alien movements. Commander Turner commanded a fleet of ships based on New Haven. His pilots were trained in the unconventional tactics that had defeated the Zephyrians. Mayor Johnson had become the unofficial leader of the colonial defense movement. She traveled from world to world, teaching other settlements how to prepare for alien attacks. The monument in the colony square bore a simple message. They came seeking easy prey. They found humanity. Children who had been born after the battle grew up hearing stories about the 7-Minute War. They learned that ordinary people could do extraordinary things when they fought for what they loved. The aliens had learned a different lesson. Attacking human colonies was dangerous. These strange creatures from Earth didn't fight like other species. They used weapons that shouldn't work and tactics that made no sense. But humans won battles anyway. They won because they were creative, stubborn, and willing to die for their freedom. The Zephyrian Empire never recovered from the defeat at New Haven. Other species rose up against their oppressors. The mighty empire that had ruled 17 star systems fell apart within 5 years. War Commander Thexul spent his final years in exile, warning other aliens about the danger of underestimating humanity. They look weak, he would tell anyone who would listen. But they are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Jake Morrison eventually retired from active duty, but he never left New Haven. He became a teacher, passing on the lessons of the 7-Minute War to new generations of Defenders. Remember, he would tell his students, we didn't win because we were stronger or smarter than the aliens. We won because we refused to give up. We fought for our homes with everything we had. The 7-Minute War had ended in 2387, but its effects lasted for centuries. Human colonies throughout the galaxy remained free because a small group of farmers had proven that humanity would never be easy prey. The galaxy had learned to respect and fear the humans of Earth. They had discovered that these strange creatures would fight with weapons made from plants. Tactics learned from farmers, and courage that came from defending their homes. New Haven Colony had sent a message that echoed across the stars. Humanity was here to stay, and anyone who tried to take their freedom would face the consequences. Legend of the 7-Minute War became the foundation of human military doctrine. Every officer learned about the battle where farmers defeated an empire. Every colony prepared defenses based on the techniques that had saved New Haven. And in the quiet moments between battles, when the stars shone peacefully over human worlds, people remembered the simple truth that had won the 7-Minute War. Ordinary people fighting for their homes could accomplish extraordinary things.